With the Rolex 24 Daytona, or the Daytona 24 Hours if you like it a little less commercialized, we have the first big race of the year under our belt. And what a race it was, or at least I hope it was great, since this is pre-recorded and the race didn't happen yet. So you know more than I do right now. Anyways, I thought this would be a good time to do another of my Could Have Won Race Ad videos. I was inspired by this one by the anonymous Aslardu, hope I pronounced your name right, when we were discussing American racetracks under my ranking all F1 tracks ever in the F1 games video. He brought up that Daytona would be his dream circuit for Formula 1, and while he is probably right that we would never race here, let's just see how it would be to race an F1 car around this track. But before we do that, I'd like to encourage you to give me some tracks in the comments that you'd like me to include in this series as well. It doesn't only have to be in Automobilista 2, but could for example also be in Assetto Corsa and its huge amount of mods as well. But now, let's hop into our Formula Ultimate Gen 2 car in Automobilista 2 and do a quick hot lap around the sports car layout of Daytona that is used for the 24-hour race as well. Well, I have to say that was quite an interesting ride. Racing an F1 car on 2/3 of an oval pretty much is something you don't usually do. There are 1 or 2 banked corners in F1 nowadays, but that's it. And you spend a couple of seconds in them, not nearly as long as we were running on the banking on this lap. And it is all flat out. The infield section is quite an opposite affair. This one is pretty technical and tight, maybe even a little too tight for Formula 1. And the chicane on the back straight, I mean, that one was fun. You barely have to brake for it. Probably not safe for Formula 1 in real life either, but hey, so would be the banking, which is even too steep for IndyCar to race here. But let's not talk about that. We all know F1 could or would never come here, but let's just dream for a second. In our home sims, we all don't need to care for safety or our necks breaking under the G-forces, so we can actually race here. And how a race with a full grid of Formula 1 cars would look like, we'll see in a quick 5-lap race around this circuit. And here we are under the Daytona floodlights, and it will be a rolling start since, well, there is no grid at Daytona as it is an oval, and there are pretty much only rolling starts here. I mean, the pit straight isn't even a straight and it is banked, so, well, you can't really do a normal start here. So this is the first issue when it comes to Formula 1 racing here. And now into turn 1 we go, as we just lose a spot against Sergio Perez, who was in a really bad starting position all the way down in 11th. But now for the first time through Horseshoe we go. We were on the inside of Sergio Perez, but we didn't make it past. So now we have to wait for another opportunity in the infield section. Maybe this second hairpin is the one where Perez was braking really early, so we made it past with ease. And now we have our teammate right ahead of us in the second Haas, as we are now going on towards the proper oval for the very first time. And here we go through the steep banking as we are now making our way on towards the chicane. And the chicane, we have seen it on the Hotlap, it is just so fast. Switching down into 5th, this is even a little low. I took this in 6th gear at the Hotlap, and this is just enough. And we are actually losing a little bit of time ahead, so we need to be careful not to be under attack from Sergio Perez behind us, who is now trying on our outside. But we are reaching turn 1 and we need to be late on the brakes. This is also quite tricky as you need to go off the banking and into the infield section at quite a strange angle, but that actually worked fine. We were able to defend ourselves against Perez, and this is something that we will instantly realize, that the slipstream on the oval bit is just so important. We were not at all able to keep up with Perez despite being in attack mode ERS. Though not the best of exits out of the second hairpin here in the infield. Don't know if this has a proper name, I don't think so. But you may correct me in the comments. And now switch back into attack mode as we even lose the spot ahead pretty much of the chicane against Sergio Perez, who had the much better exit out on the oval and now into the chicane. This isn't really an overtaking spot. As well, you can't really go side by side through there. This will end in a crash or someone going through the grass. But here you can see with the slipstream we can instantly counter the overtake that Perez did on us ahead of the chicane. And ahead of us there is 4-5 cars going side by side on towards turn 1. Now the situation resolves and we still have the Haas, the other Haas, just ahead of us. Perez still behind us, looking down our inside, going into horseshoe. But he wasn't able to make a move. And now we need to be as close as we can to this fighting group ahead to A, take advantage of their battle, and B, to take the slipstream of the cars so that we aren't too vulnerable to Perez. And this time I think we are a little closer as we switch back into attack mode. We were building up our battery charge through the infield section, which is, I think, a necessary thing to do if you don't want to get eaten up on the high-speed parts here. Now only down into 6th, and this time we are safe from Perez, and maybe on the second banked corner we are able to attack this group of 4 cars ahead of us. We made it past the Haas, we made it past the AlphaTauri, and now we are alongside both Alpines going into turn 1 as we're just starting the penultimate lap here. And I think we are ahead. We need to look on our outside. I can't see the mirror right now as I was looking on the inside, but we made it past both Alpines, now defending on the inside into horseshoe, and we stay ahead of both of them. But the car ahead, the second AlphaTauri, is a lot up the road. Oh, and actually there is a surprise attack from one of the Alpines. Was it Esteban Ocon? I think so. Yeah, so this actually helps us because now we can use his slipstream, and oh no, we lose the second spot to the other Alpine. But now with our ERS in high mode, and yes, this is Alonso, so ahead of us is Ocon, we make it past the first Alpine and now on towards the chicane once more. Really scary to attack these curbs in an F1 car, but so satisfying to really attack this corner as we are now getting a good run on Ocon, and on the high side we are making it past the Frenchman as we are now starting the final lap of our short race here in Daytona, but actually we aren't really past. Ocon is still there, and now round the outside, going into turn 1. We try to hold on to it, but we just run out of the road as the track is bending towards the left here, and a surprise attack then into Horseshoe very late on the brakes, but we make it past Ocon. And well, now we just need to be careful not to get overtaken on the oval bit once more. We really need that ERS, as Ocon once more is trying to dive bomb us into the second hairpin, or not dive bomb, it's actually a fair move down our inside. But this time it doesn't work for him, and this time, now very crucial to get a good exit back onto the oval, back into attack mode with our battery. And now let's just hope that we are able to stay ahead of the Alpines, but I think they are fighting each other, so actually we are gaining on them this time, so we should be safe here in 8th spot, as long as we can trust our steering wheel. That is saying we are in 8th. And we were really gaining through the chicane on the AlphaTauri ahead of us. Is he struggling with his battery? Well, I think so, but there is the line coming up, and our battery is nearly empty as well, but I think... Where is the line? Where is the line? Where is the line? There it is! Oh, that was really close, but I think... Yeah, we actually stayed ahead of the AlphaTauri, so we finished in 7th, but this was really... pretty much one of the closest finishes I ever had, so really exciting race here. And what do we take from that? Racing this track is so much fun in these cars. I mean, after the infield, it is pretty much an oval race with Formula 1 cars with intense slipstream action and multiple cars going side by side through the banking, all while pushing the pedal to the metal. And the infield, especially turn 1, but Horseshoe and turn 5 as well, offer some great opportunities for daring attacks on your opponents. So, to conclude, could F1 race here in real life? Hell no. Should you try this track and car combination on your sim yourself? Oh yes, you should. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to not miss any future content. In 2 weeks time, I'll start my Fantasy Formula 1 2022 season with the South African Grand Prix, for example, so if you're interested in that, you should definitely leave a sub. And as I already said, I appreciate your comments suggesting other racetracks I could test in this series. Well, and that's it from me. I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.